welcome back to Obscuracast. We have interesting topic for you guys tonight. I know we've been sort of on the tip, at least last episode as well. We went over some cryptid stuff and sort of that kind of thing. And we're going to take a little bit more of a turn towards the paranormal and sort of like the otherworldly side of things rather than something physical or something that's actually within the physical realm, more the metaphysical realm. But as always, I have my man Dan O'Neill with me on the podcast. How you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, man. So I know that we both, I think, both can comfortably say that we have a belief in life after death, and something does happen to us, regardless of what you believe. There's both of us have sort of an inkling that there's something after death and something that we sort of go to afterwards. Where do you stand on that? Like, are you full press to say that the ghosts and apparitions and things are real? Like, where do you stand on that? Do you think it's more of an energy? Do you think it's actually like an actual physical ghost or like a metaphysical ghost? Where do you sort of stand on that?
I don't think there's one answer. I don't think it's just one thing. I think it could be a couple different things. I think that the energy one for sure. I think that, it could just be a high energy moment in time that's just kind of stuck in like a real, like a time lapse. Um, but I also believe that there are souls that are kind of stuck here. If they have something that maybe they're trying to find out why they passed and they just can't let go. Um, I think those are probably the two uh, biggest one. And then there's also you know, it could be interdimensional as well. I know we talked about interdimensional with the cryptids and
We also touched on
extraterrestrials
a
and
little
stuff
bit
like
in our
that.
first episode with stuff like that, as far as being like
Yeah,
interdimensional or laws of
yeah,
metaphysics and that kind
and
of stuff. So
yeah, and it very well could, that could be it too. I don't know. None of us know until that time comes, which I hope isn't for a while.
right,
But
you and me both.
I don't know. Um,
And I think that's
there's
what,
plenty of.
and to that point, I'll just stop you for a second. To that point, I think that's what a lot
Hmm.
of people are afraid of, is that there's no definitive proof. There's a lot of different stories, a lot of different ways of going about circling around that idea of once you pass away, once you leave here, where you go. And I think, or if there's anything after it, right? That's the other side of the coin, is that
Right.
maybe there's nothing. You know,
Yeah.
there's like,
Yeah.
the atheist is the extreme of the spectrum, and then you have all these different sort of sects of religion and stuff that believe in, different things and what happens
Yeah.
to you, whether you come back as you're reincarnated, or you go to heaven or you go to hell, and all of that stuff. I think is what's really scary about that whole ordeal and going through that. You and I both have had family members, obviously, that have taken that trip, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what scares people the most, is it's just unknown. We don't have a definitive answer.
Yeah, I mean that's like kind of human beings to the core, though. We're very afraid of what we don't know.
Right. And when we do, we
Um,
try to make sense of it,
oh
because it's
yeah,
the only way you stay
I mean,
sane.
yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of people that have had NDEs, which is near-death experiences, and they kind of all say the same thing,
It's like the white
you
light
know,
thing and all that kind of stuff. And
like there really is a heaven and a hell and stuff. I don't think it's necessarily the pearly white gates and whatever. Um, Dude, for all we know, heaven could just be talking about interdimensional. It could just be a different dimension, and hell could be a different dimension. I
right.
don't know.
Yeah, that's
I want to be on like
but that's the
this.
thing, though, is that you don't, this is what it all circles back to, is that you can't know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I know
Yeah.
we sort of wanted to get into the paranormal stuff. So like, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff that say there's a lot of swinging towards the fact that a lot of this stuff is benevolent. It's not all, or malevolent and vicious and evil. That's not all necessarily that you're dealing with apparitions or just people that have passed away in general, whether they're an apparition or an energy or whatever you want to point it to. And I think that's sort of what we get into with the religion stuff and what happens afterwards is that, like I said, people try to make sense of what they can't figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why they center on the fact that there's sort of two extremes with that argument is that it's either something that's evil and out to get you, or it's somebody trying to make contact with you that is passed on to let you know that they're okay or something to that effect. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. I think it could be a memory too, though. I really do. I think it could be like an energy memory. Um, something like that. Um, I've had experiences which we can get into a little later in the show. Have you ever had like I know we talked about the thing that happened with you and your sister and your family with your grandfather at that hotel, but have you ever had like any paranormal experience at all other than that? Like, have
I
you ever
wouldn't
had like
say I wouldn't say definitive evidence where I was like it. You know, a lot of people that experience that stuff, they tend to be shocked by it, right? They tend to be like,
mm-hmm,
um, it changes them in some way, whether it's minuscule or not. Um, I would say probably the what I could contribute to one that I've had for sure was when my mom passed. Um, what I
okay,
do remember is I was there. She was in hospice for about a week, and I kept pretty good contact with all you guys, Johnny, you, Paul, um,
right,
and I remember when it happened. Like I still think back and like I remember when it happened and she passed and everything happened with her CPAP machine and all that kind of stuff, or yeah, her CPAP machine or whatever was helping her breathe. Um, I remember when that alarm went off. I remember that. I remember the noise,
okay,
and then it was once we turned that off and there was no noise. It was literally you could hear a pin drop in that room.
mm-hmm,
Um, like I I don't even remember being like I remember being sad that I knew that it was just over, right? Like it's done, right? But I
yeah,
was also at the same time so relieved.
yeah,
Like and I didn't and most people would be like, "Oh my god, I felt relieved that my mom died." No, that's not what it was about. I was happy that she was just
no,
done.
not in pain and not
It
suffering
was
anymore.
it was over. She was on to somewhere
Mm-hmm,
more hopefully better. I'm not a praying guy, but at the same time, like I was just thinking in the back of my head, like she's got to be somewhere better than this after all of that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
I think I
yeah,
that's the
it
same.
was an odd experience. But what I would tell you is that once I sort of came to my senses and was like done crying at least for a little bit. I remember just looking over at her and it was just I've never seen something so still.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't my mom anymore. It was she wasn't there.
No, it's just a vessel.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that like that was
Yeah.
probably my biggest thing as far as like experiencing being there for somebody's last breath and that was it.
Okay. I see what you mean. I see
Like
what you mean.
there was no she was there and then she wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was odd. And I remember talking to my sister like an hour or so after I'd called all you guys and let you guys know and was waiting. I think I was waiting for Gina to show up because she ended up leaving work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember talking to my sister. I was like, "Did you feel that too?" She's like, "What do you mean?" I like when she went, it was like stone silent in here. She's like, yeah, it was it. You can't explain something like that. Like how quiet it got. It was weird.
Yeah.
And so, but
I mean,
that is probably the only concrete thing that's happened where I was like, it really sort of took me back and like made me like, you know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, I get that. Now, like, here's my question for you. Okay. Do you do you want to have a paranormal experience? Like,
I mean,
does it intrigue you, or you like,
it's a
would
great
you go
question.
like,
It's a great question. And to answer it, because I sort of know where you're going, like would I go on like a ghost hunt or something like that? The answer to that
I,
question would be yes.
okay.
But at the same time, I'm not looking for trouble. If something,
That,
if I go to something like that, I'm not looking to provoke.
yeah.
Like
Um,
I'll go somewhere, and I've been places like we've all been to memorials, right? Like
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
was standing in the middle of Gettysburg. I didn't feel uncomfortable there. It's because I wasn't after, you know what I mean? Like I was there for the simplicity,
Mm-hmm.
the simplistic reason, for the same reason when I went to Israel that we talked about.
Did you have any weird feeling when you were at Gettysburg, though? Did you have any like
Not that I
hair
remember.
stand on your skin moment? Like,
Not really. I mean, I guess because it was like it wasn't an enclosure. It's a little different when you're in an enclosure, like a building or something like that, versus
were you
being,
there during the day?
yes.
Okay, that
Yeah,
probably
I don't
helps
think
too.
you can. I don't think you're allowed to be there at night. I think they have like
You
strict rules where
you
you
are. You
can't.
just got you got to get permission.
I was gonna
You
say that. I
gotta,
mean, like, there's so
yeah.
many statues there that if like
Mm-hmm.
defacement's a thing, like all that kind of stuff, vandalism.
Yeah.
I would expect
Yeah.
they have pretty strict rules. Like if you're caught, you're not in a good spot.
Yeah. Um, I've never been to Gettysburg. Want to go to Gettysburg. Obviously, that place is a big paranormal place.
Well, yeah, but like I'm talking about like if you
You
were in
know,
like a military quarter or something like that. Like that's what I'm talking about. Is if you're in like a concealed building where like people were and like intermingled and all that kind of stuff, it's a little bit different than being
well,
out in an open field. Not to take away
right.
the gravity of the situation, but what I'm saying is I felt more comfortable outside than I would have like in an enclosure. I guess if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. And they see apparitions everywhere. They see apparitions in the battlefields. They see apparitions in the buildings. There was a lady that got killed because there was a gunshot that went through like the fucking window, and she was cleaning the dishes and killed her. So
Jesus.
like, yeah, like she was just an innocent civilian that a stray bullet happened to hit the fucking window and killed her. Um, and they say that they see her spirit. There's a I know there's a picture of her, and then people will literally say that like they see her in that house.
Interesting.
They actually see her there.
I mean,
Yeah,
like
Gettysburg has some.
to answer your question a little bit differently about like have I had any paranormal experiences? Like I've seen stuff out of the corner of my eye that's made me double take that I know that nobody's in my house or anything like that. Now, could that just be a shadow, a car coming up the driveway, whatever? But I
Mhm.
have seen certain stuff like that, or weird stuff has happened where like a light's gone out or like a light's flickered or something like that. If that's what you're talking about,
Mhm.
I think we've all experienced that.
Yeah, no, you know what I'm talking about. I'm
Yeah, you're
talking
talking
about
about
like
something like an actual, like I see somebody sitting in my
real.
room or something.
Well, I've never actually had that. I've had paranormal experiences. I've never had that. Now, I found out about, I'm gonna say a little bit after Dad passed away. I stayed with my dad's sister, my Aunt Shirley, and she told me a story about the house that I grew up in. For everybody listening, my house very well known to be pretty haunted. A lot of paranormal activity there. Lived behind a cemetery, so that was fun. Um, anyway, my aunt told me that Blake, do you remember the guest room next to my parents' room?
Yes. The one that I slept in
Okay.
all the fucking time.
Not the purple room, the gold room.
The one that's next to your parents or the one that's across the hall?
The one that was right next to it, the bathroom's right there in the
Okay,
hallway.
yeah, I never stayed in there. I stayed in the other one, the one across the
Yeah,
hall that was next to your room.
right. Paul stayed in that one.
Right.
I mean, he really slept downstairs in the basement on the couch, but that was the room Dad gave him was
Was
the room
a
next to them.
was a
So
was a
that room, don't
was a
work,
tough couch to
stop.
it was a tough couch not to sleep on.
It was a tough couch not to sleep on. That couch was a glove. She stayed at the house one night and she was staying in that room. Okay.
Your aunt,
And
this is your Aunt Shirley?
there, yes, and
Okay.
there was a rocking chair in the corner of that room. She said that she woke up around like 3 o'clock in the morning,
Interesting.
witching hour.
Yep.
She woke up around 3 o'clock in the morning and a woman in an all black dress and veil was sitting in the chair rocking, just staring at her.
Fuck.
Mm-hmm. Didn't say anything, was just sitting there rocking and staring at her for like a couple minutes. And then she said she turned over and then she looked back and then she was gone. She got up. There was no one there. Like, it was very weird. And I didn't hear that story. My dad never told me about that. My mom didn't tell me about that. I found out about that story a couple months after my dad had passed away when went over there and stayed the night with my Aunt Shirley and Uncle Chris.
She
But
alert she alluded that to you? She told you
yeah,
that?
we were talking about the house and just
That's
like
wild.
stuff happened at the house and like she was like, "Oh, I had an experience." So I was telling her all the crazy shit that happened with me and, Cody and all of our friends, even Paul. Um, and she was like, "Oh yeah, there was definitely something at your house." I was like, "Oh really?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "You had an experience?" She's like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah,
And then she told me
it
that, and I
was an
was like,
experience.
"Well, here's what's really fucking crazy." Okay, so she tells me that story. Okay, after my dad passes away. My daughter's mother, at the time, we were together,
Yep.
Leanne and Alexa are in that room cleaning out. My dad had, dad had all of his suits and dress shirts in that closet.
Yep.
They saw a woman in all black in the closet. Swear to God. And they didn't know about that story. I didn't tell them about that story, and they said that they saw, like, they, like, kind of screamed for a second. I'll never forget because Paul and I were downstairs, and my daughter and her sister were downstairs with us. They screamed. Paul and I came running around, like, what the hell's going on? Uh, we just saw a woman in black. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you saw a woman in black? Yeah, right by the closet. And I told them that story that my aunt said, and they, like, Alexa needed to take a minute. She had to leave the house. It was
That's
crazy.
it's not unwarranted. I'd have fucking screamed like a 5-year-old girl at recess if I ever saw some shit like that. Fuck that.
Yeah, woman in all black. And what's crazy is having lived there my whole life, I never saw a woman in black.
Yeah,
But my aunt saw it, and then those two saw it.
yeah, that would be some crazy
Really
shit.
weird.
That would be some crazy shit for sure.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I I sort of have a story like that. I think I've told you about it a couple times. I definitely told you when it happened. Was the dream I had about you and your dad. I'm not. It's a little graphic, so I'm not going to get into it. But
yeah, yeah.
that was. I
You've
remember.
told.
I
Hmm.
remember. I remember my sister when she was still living at my dad's house. She came and woke me up because apparently I was like tossing and turning in my sleep. Like it was. I'm not going to get into it because it's really fucked up. Um, just for the sake of out of respect for your dad. Um,
Yeah, but like, is that like paranormal? Or is that just
no,
like your
that's like the
dreams
thing.
doing
It
weird
was like
shit? You know?
that's the
Like, I
thing
don't
though,
know.
right? Is like where do you draw the line? Is it something that and I don't know. That's the only reason I bring it up though, is that's like the closest thing I've had to like an experience that really freaked me out. Like I was like that changed my whole perspective on some shit. You know what I mean?
Really, it rocked you that hard?
It was pretty. I that utility room was really tough for me to go into after that dream or that nightmare.
Because it just felt so real.
Yeah, it was like it's kind of like that. You know, it's kind of like the Matrix thing where you don't know if you're awake or still dreaming type shit. Like
Hmm.
it was like a
Yeah.
lucid dream. That's what it was. It was a
Okay.
lucid. It was a lucid dream. So I was like, I know this is not real. I need to wake myself up. Like this is. There's no way that this is happening. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I knew instinctively that I was like, I don't know. It was weird. It was weird.
No, I mean,
And it
I
really threw me. Like I never looked at your dad any different or anything like that. But it was weird, man. Like I woke up and started like sobbing. You can ask Kelsey. You can ask my sister. She's the one that woke me up. I think um she was with one of her boyfriends at the time. Can't remember who it was, but um yeah, they came and woke me up and I literally like jumped out of my skin. Like I like sat up in bed and like it was pretty crazy. I can't lie. That's probably like if you're talking about scary stuff, like stuff that freaked me out about like metaphysical or like something that I wasn't like technically conscious, I wasn't like awake for it. Like
yeah.
that's probably that's those are the two things. My mom and that nightmare I had was pretty crazy. It was pretty life altering, that's for sure.
Yeah. Um, I mean, who knows what all that is, right?
Well,
Like,
that's
is
what
it
I
your
mean.
mind playing tricks on
Is
you?
it your
I
mind playing
mean,
tricks
I
on
don't
you? Is
know.
it foreshadowing something to a certain degree, or you know what I mean? Like you just don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But
Um, I
yeah,
mean,
those are the two that
as far
rocked me
as like
pretty
that,
hard. Yeah,
as far as like paranormal at Dad's house that I experienced,
I was
there
gonna say,
was
yeah, you might as well. I mean, we're gonna talk about the house. We might
there's
as well give some real world examples because I've never I was always more frightened by the stuff that you guys talked about because just being in a house by yourself is creepy enough. You know what I mean? Because you're so much more hyper focused on what's going on versus people being around you or like you're doing something and you're alone. You know what I mean? Like just being in a house and just sitting in silence,
Mhm.
it's just eerie.
That house was just eerie too. It was big and it was dark. It didn't matter how many damn windows that house had, it was just always dark.
Was you were just surrounded by woods. That was part of the problem.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, that street, it was a great Halloween setting.
Oh
It really
yeah,
was. Like it was creepy at night. It
and you
was
had
very creepy at night.
that long circle driveway too that led up to the circle, and
Yeah.
it was just
Yeah.
if you stared at the house, you'd be like, "Holy!" Like you know what I mean. And it's not even anything
Mhm.
that was auspicious or like really stood out about it. It was kind of just a creepy location.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of creepy. You know, Dad, when I lived there when I was younger, there wasn't a lot of paranormal stuff that really went on. My dad had an experience at the house when his dad passed away, my
I remember
grandfather.
you did tell me about that,
Um,
but you could sort of, if you want to sort of get into that, that's kind of an interesting story.
yeah, so when my grandfather knew that he was dying, and my grandfather believed in life after death, and my dad, this is in the 90s, my dad believed in it too, and they were trying to figure out a way to communicate um, if there really is life after death, ways that he can communicate so that way he can tell him like, hey, yeah, like I'm here, there is life after death. So my mom was actually there. She witnessed this conversation. And my my mom and my dad told my grandfather they wanted him to break something in the dining room. Okay, remember the dining room had that wall of like the mirror wall? Yeah.
Yeah, you're
So
talking about the one. You're
they,
talking about the one that was in the dining room to the right. Like if you went into um through
Mhm.
your kitchen through that like swinging door. Is that what you're talking about? It was
Yes,
off to the right
yep,
where all the
exactly.
stuff was. Okay.
Yep. So that room, that's the dining room. There was a chandelier in that room. Okay. And my dad told my grandpa to break it. And my grandpa was like, I'm not breaking your chandelier. And they got into an argument about it. My dad's like, I don't give a fuck about the chandelier. I just want to know that
You
there's
want to
life
know
after death.
and
So just,
want to know that you're okay.
yeah, like just break the chandelier. Send me a sign. Break the chandelier. He's like, I'm not gonna break the chandelier, but I will do something in that room. And my dad had, you know, anyone that knows me growing up, my dad he collected artwork and antiquities, ancient artifacts and
Some
stuff. So
really
he had a
really
lot
cool
of,
shit. Some really
yeah, he had
cool
a lot
shit,
of really
dude.
cool
Like
shit. He had John Lennon's
it's my
harmonica
favorite. That
and
was my
fucking,
favorite.
that was pretty cool. He had a lot of, he was a collector.
The
And
other one that I loved that your dad had was the Alice in Wonderland first edition signed by the author. That shit was crazy.
oh yeah, the lithograph.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good one. So he had these two pictures. You remember when you walk in that room, he had that like that case that showed the antiquities and stuff. There were two pictures that were on the wall on either side.
Yeah, because one was
There
by
was a
your dad's commendation from when he was in the Marines. I do remember that.
right. So this was like this had to be like 92, 93, I think. I think my grandpa died around like 92, 93. So anyway, my grandfather passes away and they have the wake and the funeral, and then Irish funeral, everyone comes over and you celebrate life, you throw a party, you drink, you have fun, it's a celebration of life. That's how the Irish do it. My dad had a bunch of family and friends over the house, and you know it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and my mom, my dad, you know they get into bed. My dad said he was kneeling by the side of his bed praying because my dad always prayed every night. My dad was a big St. Jude guy. He always did St. Jude prayer and you know, always prayed to Jesus. In the middle of his prayer, he heard this loud crash, this huge bang and crash downstairs. He's like, "What in the fuck was that?" Gets up, goes downstairs, and one of the pictures that was on the wall in that dining room was on the ground and the frame had broke. And I mean, those pictures had been up there for like 10 years,
Right.
never moved. Okay. He's like, what the fuck? So he puts it off to the side, goes back upstairs. 15, 20 minutes later, boom, another big crash goes downstairs. The other picture on the other side of the wall, opposite wall, fucking crash, broken frame. He's like, what the fuck is going on? Puts that picture off to the side, and I think a week later, my dad's laying in bed one night and he goes, "Holy shit." And my mom goes, "What?" He goes, "The paintings, that was my dad communicating." And my mom was like, "Holy shit."
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
your dad was very very heavy into, especially later in his life, very heavy into setting himself up for when he did, you know, experience that. Um
yeah.
he was
I
always very
mean,
adamant about the fact that he was going to be able to communicate with us. So that story makes sense, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Is it sort of traveled from
yeah.
father to son, where he was very adamant about the fact that he wasn't going to be absent from our lives. You're going to see him in certain points,
hmm
and He's going to help us
Oh,
with certain
yeah.
things. And the first thing I said to my dad when he showed up after my mom passes, said, "I bet Mr. O'Neill was sitting there waiting for her and cracked her a beer."
Mm-hmm.
I truly
Yeah.
believe. I truly believe that.
Yeah. I mean, I heard my dad tell that story about, a lot about that, you know, time that happened. So that was the only experience that like my dad had told me about the house, and it had to deal with my grandpa. Um, my dad collected a lot of shit, right? Like I told you, like you know that.
Yeah.
One of the things,
Hell, we did
and
it.
it's
Hell, we did
like,
it. We did a on our
well,
graduation night. We did a shot out of a 2,000-year-old chalice. For God's sake, bone chalice.
no, that's not. It wasn't bone. It's alabaster.
Oh, that's
I
what it
have that
was.
chalice.
That's what it
I still
was.
have it. I still have it. It's downstairs, wrapped up. I have it.
But yeah, on our
That's all. That's
graduation night from high school, we all did a shot out of this thing.
it's a ancient Sumerian alabaster chalice. Yeah, I have that still. It's downstairs. It's older than the time of Christ. It's crazy.
Yep.
So,
Just another Tuesday for the O'Neill family.
yeah, just another Tuesday. But when things, so here's my theory of why a lot of weird shit started happening when we were in our late teens, early 20s, and
Yeah, because
past that.
this is the other thing too. Is the reason
There's,
I don't have a lot of scope on this is because the vast majority of when this stuff was going on, I was away at college, so that's why I can't speak to a lot of it. But go ahead. I just want to
well,
give
you
that.
were either at,
Yeah, I just want to give that context.
you know, yeah, you were away, doing your basketball thing, either college or playing pro basketball overseas. But I mean, I told you when shit happened.
Well, of course. I mean, you and I,
So you
we
kind
talk
of got
about this
to.
all the time. How much contact we kept, even though we were 8 hours apart.
Oh yeah,
Talked constantly.
yeah. Um, I also think back then you were a little more close to it. You really didn't. You didn't give it a lot of thought back then. You're much more open-minded now than you were then. Like you didn't really get into this stuff
Well, I
then.
was so preoccupied with other things too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And 'cause like, dude, you were over my house all the time and you never really had an experience.
Right.
And a lot of times that shit, it's like
Somehow
that
I feel
stuff
like
doesn't.
I like missed it. You know what I mean? Like it would happen and I would be like a day later or something like that.
I mean, the problem is that if you don't believe in it, it's not gonna fuck with you.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't believe in it and you call it out, it will fuck with you, which I had some people do that. But all this happened, I can tell you the event that I remember that really made all this weird shit start to happen, and it's literally like something out of a fucking 2000s, like, I won't say horror movie, but like psychological thriller movie. There was, who was it? It was me, Cody.
Oh, you know what? Before
I
you get into
can't
that
remember
story,
all the time. I know Alexa was there.
I was gonna say
But
I have had a paranormal experience with you. I have.
really,
Yes.
please say it. I'll go back to the story. Go ahead.
So
You go ahead and say it.
the one I remember is the horror movie thing you just talked about, like sort of jogged my memory a little bit.
Okay.
Do you remember the night we were watching the autopsy of Jane Doe? That movie about that it
I
was like Emil Hirsch and it was about the two morticians. It was his father and his son.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
movie?
Yes, I do.
Do
I
you
do remember
remember at
that,
a
yeah.
point in the movie when the TV shut off? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird.
That that's probably the only thing I can point evidence wise that we were watching something like that and there was no like TV. Like we turned the TV right back on. It wasn't like the power went out. Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, TV just said, you know what? We're
Not
gonna shut off.
not today.
Not today.
No, but that not up in here. No, but that literally
Yeah.
that was creepy as fuck. Because if anybody like nobody knows the extent of how dark your basement would get. If there wasn't a light on, it was pitch fucking black, and there were no windows. The only windows were basically covered by the outside.
Windows. Yeah, the two windows were the two. Yeah, they were the
where the
in-ground
big
windows.
screen TV used to be.
Yeah. Yep.
Those were the only two windows, and they were pointing towards the woods. So even if there was some kind of light, it was like dusk light. It was like
you barely got any light there.
But I will tell you, your basement. Well, for obvious reasons with the nightmare I had, but your basement scared the fuck out of me. Because it was just it was nothing but like I very like unless I didn't know you were there. I did not sleep in that basement alone. I'd go upstairs and sleep on the couch. I refuse. Like maybe that's part of it too, dude. Maybe that's part of it too. Is that like I'd have that inkling, like you're talking about, with like the stuff hanging or the stuff, the hairs on the back of your neck and stuff like that. I would get certain
felt it. You just said,
well, no. I've felt like the pins and needles and stuff like that, but that was like. That necessarily, like, I'm talking about actually like seeing something versus having the feeling. So if that's what you're talking about, 100% I've had that feeling. 100% without a doubt.
Okay, then yeah, you kind of experienced it. Like, that basement, like it was a finished basement. It's
right.
Not like
it wasn't like it was like it made weird noises or like
that house made noises, don't get me wrong. That house was loud as shit at night. That added to the creepiness of that house.
Yeah, there was a lot of cracks in that house, like coming down the basement stairs. You couldn't sneak up on somebody coming down in that basement.
No.
Like, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There was never gonna be a murder at that house because you could never sneak kill somebody.
Yeah, like if you weren't like I'm like as you guys know, or people that have listened to the podcast in previous times, I'm over 7 foot. I am very soft footed for a 7 foot guy. I like
you're not sneaking up on somebody.
No, not a but that's my point. Not a shot. Like if I'm coming down those stairs, you knew it was me coming down those stairs.
Yeah.
Like if you tried anything faster than like a walk down those stairs, if you were like huffing it down those stairs, somebody'd be able to hear you outside. Them bitches were loud.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about the stairs a little bit later. But I can literally trace back to when like all the fucking weird shit happened.
Like where it started,
Yeah, and I'll tell you when and why, okay? It happened when we were like fucking 19, 20 years old. And I'll never forget it. We were in the basement, and I had a party with some people. There was probably 20 people over the house. But there was like 4 or 5 of us. Like everybody else was like outside by the pool and shit. And there was like 4 or 5 of us downstairs in the basement. And we got some fucking weed, and it was probably some like Reggie shit weed, whatever. But it was a couple of us, and I forget exactly who was there. But do you remember the ceremonial Native American ceremonial tomahawk that my dad had that was also a peace pipe?
Yes.
Yeah, we smoked weed out of that.
Interesting. Okay.
And I, honest to God, think that when we smoked weed out of that, we opened up a portal. Because as soon as that fucking night happened, there was just weird shit would happen all the fucking time. Like I got scratched, Cody got scratched, Paul was asleep. Paul, even though Dad gave him that spare room that he could live at the house, that spare room was where my aunt saw the lady in black. My dad said Paul could stay in that room. My dad gave him a bedroom. He never slept in there, very rarely. Paul lived with us for like 2 years. There was a whole fucking week that he slept upstairs in that room. And my dad was like, "What's wrong with Paul?" And I told my dad what happened later, but it took me 2 nights to like realize like, dude, what are you doing sleeping upstairs?
Yeah.
Um, and I'll try to sometime we'll have to have Paul on here to tell this story. But what happened was he was laying on the couch downstairs in the basement. Okay, and at this point, we remember Rashik, the dog that we had, the
Yes.
Samoyed.
Yes, I
He
remember
was passed
Sheik.
away at this time, so yeah. So
Yes,
there was
I
no
remember
dog.
Sheik.
Yeah, there was no dog. Okay, dog's gone. He was in the basement, and the fucking TV was on, but he didn't have the sound on. Um, I think he had like the video game pause or something. Something was paused or there was no whatever. The TV was on, but whatever. He heard a growl come from the back of the basement. And he said he ran up those stairs like he was a 5-year-old kid running from a monster, and he slept up in that bedroom for a week straight. He wouldn't go downstairs unless I went down there with him.
Yeah. I would
Um,
say the most uncomfortable I felt in your house was definitely the basement.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I didn't really, I mean, yeah, I can't remember another room in that house where I was like uncomfortable. I
Yeah,
yeah.
Cody got scratched a couple times. Paul got scratched. I actually got that like sleep paralysis slash like I got held down. I got held down and like to the point where like I was awake. Without a doubt, I was fucking awake. I was not asleep. Um, I was trying to get up, I was trying to yell, and I couldn't. And this thing was like on top of me, holding me down for about 3 minutes. And I had marks. And then one of my ex-girlfriends, you remember Natalie?
Yeah.
Okay, you know how she like did not believe in that shit? She was like, that is horseshit. That's the biggest crock of bullshit. Didn't believe in paranormal stuff at all.
Yeah.
She like called that shit out a couple times at the house, and I was like, you are really playing with fucking fire. Like, you don't know what you're doing. She called that shit out, and I'll never forget. She's drunk and she's calling it out. Like, if you're actually here, fucking show yourself. Don't be a pussy, blah, 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 all this shit. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. I go to work in the morning. She didn't have to go into work that day. So she's in my bed. I'm at work at the office. I get a call like, well, 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. She is crying profusely. And I'm like, what is going on? Long story short, this thing fucking held her down. And she couldn't yell. Same thing that happened to me. This thing fucking held her down for like 3 or 4 minutes. And dude, she never fucked with that shit ever again. And it was like Paul wasn't a big believer in this shit, and when he had his experience, like once you fuck with it, you don't fuck with it anymore. And
Well,
once you fuck with
that's
it and it shows itself, it is like it opens up a whole can of worms.
yeah, like you have to as much as
You gotta have some respect. You gotta
that's
respect it.
exactly what I was going to say is it's a respect thing. It's that like you have to it's like somebody passing away and like not taking it to heart, especially if they're a close, like personal friend, relative, confidant, whatever.
Yeah.
You just have to like respect the fact that they're not here
Mm-hmm. And
and
I,
not go
dude,
to the extent of trying to be like a provoc, like somebody to provoke it. You know what I mean? Like if they're there, like you said, the vast majority of stuff that people deal with is just something trying to reach out.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Now,
yeah.
if you provoke it, it's like you're basically bullying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
And yeah.
it's different.
And I honestly do think that when we smoked that peace pipe, we opened something. We
Yeah.
welcomed it. We welcomed it. You know what I mean?
Whether it was good or bad, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, both. I think it was both because there was an instance. Remember our friend Kevin who passed away?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had an experience there. Um, a paranormal experience. Um, that like really fucked him up. Um, it was a good one. I mean, it probably like at the time saved his life. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, but he was super drunk and he wanted to jump off. We were all inside the house and he went out by the pool by himself and he was gonna dive into the pool off the diving board and there was all of a sudden out of nowhere an old man appeared by the side of the pool and said, "I wouldn't do that if I were you." And it scared the shit out of him because this guy came out of nowhere and Kevin like looked and then looked at the pool and then looked back and this dude was gone. He left my house. Like he left the party. He just got in his truck and drove home, went home. And the next day he came over and he sees a picture that the picture of me sitting on my grandfather's lap and my dad's next to us. You
Yeah.
remember that picture?
Yep.
He saw that picture and he goes, "Who the fuck is that?" I go, "That's my grandfather." He goes, "That's who was by the fucking pool last night." I was
Interesting.
like,
Yeah, it's yeah.
"That's wild." Kevin never met my fucking grandfather.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was crazy. And then I
I th-
remember,
I was gonna say if you're gonna talk
Paul,
about a story, if you're gonna talk about a story that's not neither here nor there as far as being benevolent or malevolent, you could tell the book on the floor story after you tell this one.
yeah, I'll tell that one. After this one. So the uh the Kevin thing happened, but then there was this weird. I remember Dad was here for this one, so it was Dad and I know Cody was there and Bill was there. I don't know if Paul was there, and I don't think you were there. We were watching. It had just come out. It was a documentary called DMT, the Spirit Molecule, and Joe Rogan actually is like the narrator for it. Um, it was a documentary on DMT, and DMT is called the Spirit Molecule. Um, which we can get into that later if you want to too, but
Blast off.
probably better. Yeah, probably better for a different episode. We can
Probably,
talk
yeah.
about that on a different episode. But we were watching this documentary on Spirit Molecule. All of us are in the fucking living room. Okay, all of us. They get to the part where they're interviewing these people and they're talking about death. And these people are like, I fervently believe that there is life after death after my psychedelic experience with this. I believe your spirit moves on. You can go to different dimensions and different, universes and blah, blah, blah. As we're watching this, and it gets to a very quiet part, you remember how quiet that house would fucking get?
Yeah, I do.
You remember how loud that basement door handle was when you turned it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The
Okay.
latch on that
We
thing was loud
all,
as fuck.
dude, we heard all of us, my dad and all of us heard the fucking basement door handle turn and then the door open
Yeah,
just a little bit.
cause that door creaked like a motherfucker too.
Yeah, and we all are looking at TV. We all look at each other and then look over there. And then it was a good 45 seconds of just looking that direction. Like we paused the fucking movie, looked over there, and then it was like okay, who's gonna go fucking check it out? And my like Cody went to go look, and my dad's like, just ignore it, don't do it. And we finished watching the documentary, and like, dude, it was just weird. And after the documentary was over, like, we went downstairs, nobody was there. There wasn't, and no, there was no window open. The AC didn't kick on. There was
Well, that thing latched. It wasn't like
nothing.
the
Dude,
wind could have blown it open. That
yes,
thing was latched, like it was an actual door
it was
handle.
latched. Yes, it was crazy. Um, but the book is a crazy story. So, for any of our listeners, uh, Ghost Adventures was something that like me and a couple friends in our group, we would watch. Early on, I watched the first like probably 4 seasons, 5 seasons, and then trailed off because it started to get. I liked it when it was just the three of them. They each had a camera and that was it. Now he's got like a whole fucking crew and all that. But we were watching Ghost Adventures, and it was Mackenzie and I believe Alexa, and then Cody and myself. I'm pretty sure that's who was there. My dad was out of town. He was in Michigan for a business trip, for a work trip. And it was, I'll never forget it. It was Amanda Green's, I believe her 21st birthday. Because we all went to that big arcade place after this happened. There were actually two fucking things that happened. Two things that happened. The first thing that happened was we're watching this one of the Ghost Adventures episodes, and all of a sudden we hear this super fucking loud bang noise. Real loud. And we're like, what the fuck is that? And pause the TV, get up, go in the dining room, there's nothing there, go in the library, there's nothing there, kitchen, nothing. All of a sudden, Cody he's standing in the hallway and just opens the garage door and he goes, all right, you gotta fucking come over here. I was like, what? He's like, dude, just come here. Do you remember that light sky blue ladder that had the yellow, like, top seat step thing? Do you remember that?
Vaguely, yeah.
It was like a short blue ladder. Okay. That was laying in the middle of the garage. My dad's car wasn't there. The, you know, but he had like stuff like hanging up on the walls and stuff. Stuff for the garden and the house. Normal shit you keep in a garage. Um, this thing's laying down in the middle of the fucking garage. The garage door is closed. Nobody fucking opened it. That garage door was so loud we would have heard it if somebody went into that fucking garage. Okay.
Right.
Not only is that thing laying there, there is a drag mark. It's not like this thing was on the wall and then fell or slid. Like this thing literally you can see drag marks and then just drop. And Cody's like, what the fuck? I'm like, dude, I don't know. And Kenzie and Alex were like, oh my god, they're getting all worked up. And I'm like, listen, I don't know what to tell you. So just let's go finish our TV show and we'll start to get ready in a little bit for this birthday party. So I think 15, 20 minutes later, another loud noise. I wouldn't say as loud as the ladder, but a significant like noise. And it sounded like it came from the library room, which was the room right on the other side of the living room where we were watching the show. And I go in there, and there is a book on the ground. And the book, I go and I pick it up, and I mean, it's not like it is significantly on the ground. It's not like it's on the ground right next to the bookcase. Like
Or like propped up
it's
like it fell or
Yeah, no, like it is on the ground, like a couple feet from the bookcase. And no one in that house was in that room. We were all in the living room when we all heard that. And like there's just no fucking way that the way this thing landed, like if it accidentally had slid off of the shelf, I don't think it could have possibly rolled. Not to mention the fact that living in that house for 30 something years, this is the only book that ever fell off of a shelf. Okay. Um, I pick up the book and it is The Secret Teachings of Plato. Okay. It's The Secret Teachings of Plato. Hmm. So I grab it and I'm like, that's weird. And I put it on the table and I open up the book and it's got my grandfather's name on it and stuff. It says to Thomas J. O'Neill. I call my dad and I tell him what happened. He's like, "Oh, yeah, that was your grandfather's book." He's like, when a book falls off a shelf, that usually means that like somebody's trying to tell you that like it's a sign to read that book, like you're meant to read that book. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, cool. Books on the table. We finish watching the show. We start getting ready to go to the birthday party. I think that was a Friday night, Friday or Saturday night. My dad gets back from his business trip, and it's like the next work day. It's like Monday, I think it was like Monday or Tuesday. Cause swore it was Monday. My dad calls me from work, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, did you do this?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, did you do this?" He's like, did you send me an email like trying to like joke with me?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "What, did any of your friends?" I was like, "They don't know your work email." I was like, "Dad, I don't even know your fucking work email. I would have to go get one of your business cards to go do that." He's like, "All right." I'm like, "Why? What's going on?" He's like, I'll show you and Cody when I get home." I'm like, "Okay." He gets home and he shows us this email. Now, the email is from like a broken link. They couldn't trace where it came from. The title, the subject line for the email said, "My book on the floor." And then in the email, it said, "Hello, where is my book?" My dad had their IT guy try to trace this to see who sent this, and it was untraceable. My dad goes, "Where's the book?" Because we were in the kitchen. Um, I go, "The book, I think I put it back on the shelf." He goes, "Go check." I go to the bookcase. I'm like, it's not there." I go in the living room. The fucking book is sitting on the table in the living room. Never put it back.
And you had put it on the table previously, correct?
Oh yeah, I put it on the table. Never touched it.
The dining room table or
And
the kitchen table?
no, the dining room table. The book didn't move. What's crazy is that you get an email from this unknown whatever saying, "Hello, where is my book?" And I never put the fucking book back.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Weird. Um, really weird.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
that's kind of crazy that it would be sent to your dad too. Like
right. Yeah.
you're the one that interfaced with the book in the first place. Why wouldn't it just that's
Right, and it sent it to my dad's work email.
yeah,
Like,
that's like it'd be
like
if it was if it was his Gmail or something like that, I could say something probably fucked up happened like
mhm.
still doesn't explain anything but a private email address. No, being a
Yeah, like
tech
a private work.
yeah, like
Yeah.
being a tech guy,
Mhm.
that shit doesn't just happen. Like
Mm-hmm.
Somebody would have to have
That,
like know where he worked and all that kind of stuff, and like I'm sure you guys at
yeah.
where your dad worked. That was when he was at Wonderlick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they would have to know where he worked, like if their emails are what naming convention their email is, if it's like D O'Neill or DA O'Neill or whatever. They would have to know all of that
Mm-hmm.
in order for it to be like an outside source or somebody that didn't know external or like internal
Oh,
details.
oh yeah.
They would have had
I
to done
mean, it
they would have
was
had to done their research. Is my point.
yeah, absolutely. So it was just my, and like my grandfather worked on he literally worked on the lunar landing module for the Apollo missions, and he had 100 scientists and PhDs working under him. My grandfather was a genius. So if anybody could figure out how to communicate through an email in the afterlife, he could definitely figure that out unequivocally, without a doubt. Super intelligent. But yeah, that was an absolutely wild, crazy experience. Um, I had speaking of going to places, okay. So you know how I asked you earlier, like, do you would you go to like Mansfield Reformatory or like a place to go, try to see if you can have an experience? You know how I asked you that earlier?
Yeah, I wouldn't. But to even go further, I wouldn't even go by myself, even with a guide. I'd have to go with like a group of people.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. No, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like a group. Okay, cool. Um, I saw on Ghost Adventures there was an episode. What the hell was it called? I think it's called like the White House. It's called the White House of Jamaica, and it was an old plantation house. And it's super haunted. The lady that owned the plantation, evil, evil woman, killed a lot of slaves that worked there. She would fuck them and then kill them, and like she was a horrible fucking person. So, um, she was called the White Witch, and they did an episode where they got locked down at this place, okay? And my dad took me and his girlfriend slash my stepmom and my stepbrother and I and his girlfriend's sister um, on a cruise. And one of the places we were stopping at was Jamaica. Well, we decided to go to, oh, it's not the White House, it's the White Hall. The White Hall, I'm almost positive. Rose Hall. Rose Hall. Got it.
Got it
Fucking
locked.
figured it out. God dang it. Holy shit. Woo! All right. The White Witch of Rose Hall. Holy shit.
That one took you
All
for a ride,
right.
didn't it? Holy shit. Well,
We're
back to the
cooking with a
fucking
little
story.
fucking glass. I'm trying to tell the story. We're also trying to figure it out. So, whoo. All right, good. Glad we got that off the chest. So, anyway, my dad's like, hey, we're going to be at Jamaica. Why don't we go to Rose Hall? And him and my mother had been there like in the fucking 80s when they were on vacation in Jamaica. My dad used to go to Jamaica a couple times a year. He loved Jamaica. Um, he was like, "Let's go to Rose Hall," and we're all like, "All right, cool." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's go." So we go and we do a tour, and it was, I don't know if cool's the right word, um, just because of how much like
You could say it was
negative shit
interesting.
there was
You
there.
could say it was interesting.
Interesting. It was intriguing and
There you
interesting.
go.
Educational. It was eye-opening to see like the conditions and stuff and just the brutal, tragic history that was there. I mean, you want to talk about like negative energy? That's definitely a place that stores negative energy. Um, anyway, my I call her my aunt Renee. There's this one, the main bedroom, okay? She took a couple pictures, and on the one wall there was a mirror. And I took pictures of the room as well, and several other people did. Didn't notice anything. Tour's done. Get back to the boat or the ship. We're at dinner. We're looking at pictures and stuff throughout the day, and all of a sudden, I'm almost positive it was my aunt's phone that took the picture. It wasn't me. But several people have like the same picture from the same angle and didn't have this. In the mirror of the picture, there is a African American male standing right next to my aunt, like next to us in the mirror. And there's no one standing there. And I have like the same picture and there's no one there.
Interesting.
When we left for the next, like, we got back from that cruise ship, and there was like one bad thing after another fucking happened to like pretty much everyone that was on that tour with us in our group. It was fucking weird. And my aunt, she's a nurse at Cleveland Clinic. One of her coworkers, she can see spirits. And like she was from like the Caribbean, like where they're into like voodoo and like all that shit.
Yep.
And she could like see spirits, and she literally looked at my aunt. Look, like she's standing in a hall in the hospital. She looks at my aunt, and then she looks behind my aunt. My aunt turns around, there's no one there. And then she looks back at her and she's like, what's wrong? She's like, did you go somewhere when you were on vacation? And she's like, well, yeah, she was telling her all the spots we visited, and then she said, we went to Rose Hall and it's haunted and blah, blah, blah. She's like, yeah, you have a zombie attached to you. She's like, what? She's like, you have a zombie attached to you. And she was like, you need to come over to my house this weekend and we're gonna get rid of this thing. And she did whatever, white magic she did, and like just all the bad shit stopped.
Yeah, that would be
Like
that's
my
that's
dad
that's kind of the
went
shit I'm
and
talking
like,
about too. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about that would really flip me. You know what I mean?
oh, it was crazy. Like, that's why like when I was younger, I think most youth don't respect it, and I know I definitely didn't respect it as much as I should have. I definitely respect that shit now. Like, I don't even really like talking about it, because usually whenever I do kind of talk about it at length, like shit just kind of happens.
Yeah.
It's almost like, just like don't talk about it
It's
and
like
it doesn't happen.
manifestation and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
like that's just like the story about the nightmare I had. And like, granted, I could probably talk about it, but it just makes me uneasy. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, you don't have to.
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying that like I experienced it. I talked to people about it. It is what it is, and I don't need to read any more into it than I need to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one of those things where like, not that I'm afraid of what's gonna happen if I do talk about it, or like I like put it at the forefront of my brain or that kind of thing. It doesn't. I don't know. It's not so much that I'm scared. It's just that I have the respect that we were talking about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
I
you
feel
gotta
like bringing
respect it.
something like that up like constantly is it's kind of uncouth. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
you're
Like
just
it's
welcoming it.
well, yeah,
You're
but
literally
at the
welcoming
same
it.
time, it's not necessarily just welcoming. It's just out of respect for like a lot of people experience stuff like that and don't want to talk about it. And again, it comes back to a respect thing that like if it changed you to the point where like it makes you uneasy or you're not comfortable talking about it, you probably shouldn't open your mouth
Yeah.
because you're just whether you're inviting it or not, it doesn't matter. It's a respect thing. It's like it happened.
Yep.
It was an interesting experience, but I got what I needed out of it, and I don't really need to flesh it out.
Yeah.
Like nothing's happened
Mm-hmm.
since then. I'm not really scared of anything happening, but at the same time, I
Mm-hmm.
have the respect factor. It like, and
Right.
I think that's not a bad way to end the episode too. Is that like I think that like if you're gonna fuck with that stuff, you got to have respect for not only because it also happens like you were talking about how like horrible things happen to people.
Yeah.
Imagine all that shit happening to you and then somebody trying to antagonize you about bringing it back up.
Oh yeah, and
You
then
know what I
energy
mean?
is
Like
just there.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about is that like you're especially if it's something violent or grotesque or gruesome. Part of afterlife is being able to wipe that all away and get rid of it. You're bringing up something for somebody or something that was traumatizing and you're going to lash out to something that you don't fully understand or don't know what it's fully capable of.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Oh yeah.
have the respect factor. You can provoke and do whatever you want to do, but at the same time, you got to know when to stop.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Um, it's interesting too because they have just recently in 2016, scientists actually observed a I forget whatever camera they were using. They observed when someone passed away, like light left. And then they've also observed um, that this is proven now, that uh, there is a brief flash of light at the time of conception.
Interesting.
What's even more interesting, and it's like how could they have possibly fucking known about this shit if they didn't have the technology that we had? How do they know about it? Is that light, the light at conception and the light going out at death, that is talked about in ancient Egyptian text, Roman, fucking Sumerian, like all the religions talk about it. How the fuck did they know?
Yeah. Yeah.
How?
Unless they saw it, not through recordings, but actually saw it happen.
Through something else?
Yeah, or just saw
Some
it
piece of
firsthand,
technology that
or just
Mhm.
saw it firsthand.
You can't see it with the naked eye.
Oh, okay. Well, that trumps that one then.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't see it with the naked eye. So how the fuck did they know about
Well, they
that?
also had they also had stuff like that like stuff is reflecting, right? So then maybe they saw it through like a vessel, like a diamond or something like that, a piece of glass, something like that.
Maybe. I don't know. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about. All that stuff is you just don't want to mess with it if you don't know what you're doing, I guess is my point. And if you do mess with it, you need to be prepared for the consequences. I think that's what a lot of people lack is that they think nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to come out of it, and they're just free to do whatever they want. Nothing bad's going to happen. It's not always
Yeah.
not
And
always the
and that's
case. It's like you not
yeah.
like again. We keep coming to the respect thing. Like know what you're getting yourself into. If you don't know what you're getting yourself into, why bother?
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of why I asked you, like, would you ever want to go to one of those places? Because before, like, I always wanted to go. Like, I always wanted to go to a spa that was haunted and have like an experience. And at the time, like, I didn't see anything weird. But it doesn't necessarily have to happen right there. I didn't realize that spirits, good and bad, can literally latch onto you and
Yeah.
follow you. I never knew that.
And
So when I found that
it's
out,
also to that extent, it's also something that travels with you. It's not like it just sits.
yes,
You move into a house, right, that's haunted, and it latches to you. If you leave or move,
it follows you.
it follows you.
Yeah, so that's like, I haven't really had anything happen here. Um, I had some stuff happen at the apartment when Dad first passed away that I really do think was him. Um, I haven't had anything, knock on wood, happen here. But like knowing now that that shit can like latch onto you and travel, I really don't know if I want to even go to go to Mansfield Reformatory and like go to some of these places. I just don't need any. I don't need any bad negative juju following me back. And what's crazy is after that happened, I started thinking like, you know how many fucking houses you and Bill and Paul and I moved?
Yeah. That's yeah.
Like, you go into somebody's house, you don't even think about that. You could bring something back with you.
Yeah,
Not even fucking know
100%.
it.
100%. How many times I've moved with you guys and nothing happened to me?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, and I guess the last words I'll say for the podcast, I'll let you obviously say your piece if you want to say anything else, but like I said, I think when you're dealing with stuff that you don't understand or it's just got to come down to the respect. Whether it was good, bad, indifferent, however they passed away, whatever happened, you have to respect the fact that they're no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's jarring. Like think about it like this. If I walked onto a football field, I wouldn't know the first thing about how to play, right? Like an actual football game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like that with basketball because I understand it. I've done it for so long and that kind of stuff. Attribute
Right.
that to literally, quote unquote, leaving this world, going into something completely new and completely separate from everything you've known. And then on top of that, if it was negative how you passed away, on top of that, somebody
Mm-hmm.
fucking with you about it.
Yeah.
It's a heavy thing.
It is.
So I guess what I would say is that I can't tell listeners what to do. I can't tell you what to do. Just have respect for people, man. Just have
Yeah.
respect for the fact that they're no longer here. We don't have any control over it. We're all going to meet an end. The problem is the time of day and place and that kind of thing. Just respect people, dude. If you're going to go do that stuff, don't make it about you necessarily. Make it about the experience and take what comes at you. Don't try to manifest things and make things happen that you don't fully understand the extent of what you're doing. That's the last thing I'll say.
Yeah. I I agree with that. Um, it's something that you have to respect, and I do believe in life after death. I've had enough psychedelic experiences um to where I do and studied enough stuff and between different religions and just different experiences and studying, you know, all that stuff and then hearing people talk about their experiences. I'm convinced that there is life after death. What's the definition of, like, what is the life after death? I don't know. I know it's definitely not this type of life. I think it's a astral life after death. It's a spiritual life after death. You're not going to have a physical body. Um, but I do believe your spirit is real. That's a real thing, and it lives on 100%. Um, and like another thing, like a different, thing we can get into in a different day is, like reincarnation.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by that.
Yeah, because
Um,
there's some serious evidence of that.
yeah, it's like the walking around in somebody else's body type shit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's odd.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there because we're about an hour 20, and we're trying to keep this about an hour and a half, hour and 45 for you guys, so it's not so much to digest for you. There might be some episodes where we have some people on that are going to be 2 hours, so just possibly be prepared for that, just because we're going to have more dialogue. We're going to have, at least one extra person filling in the conversation and things like that. But all in all, the episodes that we've done, I mean, we've only done what, 4 so far, Dano?
I think this is gonna be our fifth one.
This will be the 5th one. Um,
Yep.
as you guys can tell, like every episode, we try to make it engaging. We try to sort of share real life experiences. We try to sort of give you guys context of not just talking about this type of shit, but we've actually been through it. We've had things happen to us in our very short lives on this earth. I mean, we're in our mid 30s. We're not, we're not hopefully close to that end, but I think the biggest thing that he and I can probably agree on is the respect thing. And I know we've sounded like a broken record with that kind of stuff, but no matter what we're talking about, we're always going to bring respect. At least for my part, I'm sure you probably agree. You can disagree if you want to, but I think I would be able to speak for you that the respect thing, no matter what we're talking about, is paramount. Um, we want to make sure that we tell both sides of the story, no matter what we're talking about or debating. Um, but it's important to bring the respect factor, because if you don't respect people, how can you have a constructive dialogue? That's just how I personally feel. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
It just
Um.
it makes sense to have the if you're going to have a dialogue, especially about something you disagree with, you have to respect the other person's opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to think it's right. You don't have to think it's anything.
Yeah. No.
The
I mean,
objective of any conversation should be to explore the conversation.
yes. And have an open mind and respect. You don't have you don't have to agree. Um. That's okay. Like that's what makes us human.
Well, that's what
Is
makes it
that
fun.
makes it fun. You can have different ideas and beliefs and whatever. Have a discussion and be respectful. State your point and just be able to talk. And that's the whole point.
And then you leave out the door you came in. Call it a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways,
100%.
but like I said, we're gonna be doing these. We're gonna be trying to do them every week, just because we have other stuff going on in our lives, like you guys all do. We'll try to do it as quick as we can and on tight of a schedule as we can. But I hope you guys are enjoying the episodes. I'm really liking these episodes. We get down to a lot of really cool stuff, and we have a bunch of people. You guys heard Brennan on the last episode. He's one of our really good friends. We have people aching to get on this podcast and wonder what we're doing with it. So we're going to try to bring you guys some diversified content and get some people on here that have some different perspectives. And again, like I said, just have a dialogue, have a conversation, and see where it takes us. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. I know Dan always says this, so I'm going to do it for him. Make sure you guys, if you guys do have the ability to share these with your friends, family, close affiliates, something like that would be interested, we'd really appreciate it. We're pretty adamant about the stuff we talk about, and we don't want to, we want you guys to enjoy it. So if you guys also have any topics that you guys want to bring up that you want us to talk about, like I said, we're not going to do stuff that's completely off cuff and that's insensitive and that kind of stuff, but we'll try to do the best we can. And if you guys do suggest some stuff, we'll just keep it, we'll keep it respectful. But anyways, that's going to be the end of this episode. We'll like I said, we're going to try to get back on a weekly schedule or weekly rotation of these. So, but it will be up on Spotify as usual as soon as we get it uploaded and cut and everything. It's not, like I said, it's going to be a long cut like every episode, uncut for the most part. But yeah, we'll have it up as quick as we can, and I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll be back and talk to you guys soon. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate the time, dude.
Yeah, you too, man. We'll see you.